what happened to all those students who cared so much about the terrible things that are happening in Israel and Gaza last year, and they don't care about their own country? Why aren't they protesting this? I mean, that is actually something I think that you're going to hear more of that, and I understand why. I actually kind of find that shocking. This is their country,
Yeah.
and they don't seem to be caring about their country.
So I guess I am going to ask you what your thoughts are on why there was so much vociferous protesting in the first Trump administration and the pink hats and all that. Why do you think Americans are just kind of like, maybe they're furious, people who are not Trump supporters, but they're not out on the streets protesting en masse. Was it something that perhaps will happen, or is it a shift of exhaustion, of feeling powerless, of I don't know what?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above,
Yeah.
Madeline. I do think that it's quite likely that ultimately there will be people in the street. And I should say, as you pointed out with the government shutdown, they're part of what is probably holding many of Trump's critics back is a recognition that on some level they want to provoke a confrontation. And I think this is not just an idle fear. It is well documented. Donald Trump spent the summer of 2020 talking about how he wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act and put uniformed military on the streets of America's cities to put down, protests, even those that were not violent. So there may be a sense that he and his movement want violence in order to consecrate it. That is the story, unfortunately, of the, sort of despotic regimes in history, is that in fact they seek out violent clashes in order to further consolidate their power in a society, in order to justify extreme measures that they might not be able to justify otherwise. So I think this is a well-grounded and historical fear that is part of the reservation of people getting out there on the streets. And we don't have the same traditions of, protests that the French do, for example, citing my cousin's email. No question about that. So I don't mean to diminish in any way. Those are very legitimate concerns and qualms. However, the level of quiescence and fear and acceptance is really shocking, and I hope that it causes people at a minimum to really reevaluate their own definition of American exceptionalism. The idea that a small, remember that Trump and Elon Musk and his Doge team of 20 people, they are a minority of a minority who have essentially taken over the levers of government, with no more than bleats of protest. I noticed, somebody pointing out, a liberal pointing this out with increasing agitation over the last week. What happened to all those students who cared so much about the terrible things that are happening in Israel and Gaza last year, and they don't care about their own country? Why aren't they protesting this? I mean, that is actually something I think that you're going to hear more of that, and I understand why. I actually kind of find that shocking. This is their country,
Yeah.
and they don't seem to be caring about their country.